Okay. Thank you for joining tonight's class on managing sexual craving the Buddhist way of doing it. It's the 28th of September 2021, and I hope you enjoyed tonight's class if you're practicing live, and hope you have a good experience if you're listening to this as a recording. So, as I start often with these classes, why bother? Why bother managing sexual craving? Why bother? Well, in some ways, in some circumstances in life, maybe there's no problem with that. Maybe there's no problem with that. So these are just this is not dogma. It is putting tools in the tool bag for if and when our circumstances in our life changes. Now, there may be good reasons to want to manage sexual craving. Maybe we're in a partnership and we feel that we've got too much of a roving eye. Maybe we end up disabled, and we lose the capacity to for sexual engagement, but it's still going around in our head. Maybe do want to become a monk or a nun or a priest or whatever. Maybe there's abstinence. Maybe we find ourselves single and we just don't want those strong feelings rattling around in us. Maybe we're estranged from our partner, or our partner is away for a period of time. Or your spouse has left, or you end up in prison, heaven forbid. Or you're posted away with work, and there's all sorts of, I think there's all sorts of very valid reasons why we might want to manage our sexual cravings. And there are dark ones as well. There are ones where maybe somebody has sexual cravings towards a particular kind of person or people, or that may cause harm to others, or is not socially acceptable, whatever it might be. So I know that comes up in the world. There are those situations in the world where people, through no wanting of their own, no creation of their own, find themselves attracted to children, animals. In some countries where homosexuality can get you killed, there may be a need to stem one's sexual feelings. If we're in a country, there are lots of countries in the world where it's awfully, it's illegal to practice homosexuality. So there are lots and lots and lots of reasons why we may want to control our sexual energy. We may want to control our sexual energy as a part of our spiritual practice. We may have a roving eye in a relationship, and we really don't want to have an affair, and we're struggling with strong feelings towards someone. So there's all sorts of reasons why we may want to practice this. Maybe we have a job where our sexual energy could leak out and become too much. I don't know how. I've never been in this situation where you may be a photographer with models, or in the fashion industry. Who knows what sort of industry, but maybe for a particular person at a particular time, it's advantageous to reduce sexual energy. So in essence, why bother? Because in certain circumstances, I've thought about some, I'm sure there are others, it is advantageous. It stops a lot of problems. Infidelity doing things we shouldn't do morally, ethically, embarrassing ourselves, straying over lines, and even it might just be that we don't want to be seeing people who we find attractive and having such strong feelings, whether we're single or not. It can be really quite frustrating to have strong sexual feelings. Can be a burden. Can be a burden. Okay, so this is tonight's class: how we can manage our sexual energy through Buddhist practice. And Buddhist monks and nuns that take a vow of abstinence, is that the right word? Abstinence, celibacy, sorry, a vow, well, probably both apply. A vow of celibacy need ways to manage their sexual energy, to not let it overcome them, but even on a smaller scale, not allow it to disturb their mind. Because if there's one thing we can be sure of, that we struggle with meditation, but then we can be perfectly concentrated on somebody's face or boobs or bum or hips or legs or the way they walk. If we get sexual craving towards someone, then we can meditate on that beautiful form effortlessly. Our mind won't wander away from it. You may have had this where you can't stop thinking about someone. So that can become a real obstacle in spiritual practice, especially if we want to commit to it on a hour-by-hour, day-by-day basis, like a monk or a nun, or even as a committed spiritual practitioner who wants more peace. And following our cravings, whatever they are, in Buddhism, there's a line in Buddhism, just to sort of caution about following our cravings, that is, it's like licking honey off a razor blade. Quite a powerful phrase, licking honey off a razor blade. So how do we do it? What's the Buddhist way of practicing this? Well, one way is to actually just not look, to keep ourselves away from people we feel attracted to, where no good can come from it. It's going to cause problems in all the reasons I've mentioned. Now, we can apply this to other things besides sexual desire. We can apply it to, we know if we're dieting and we leave all the cake out, we're going to eat it. But if we put things away behind the cupboard doors, we stand a much better chance. And if we don't even have them in the house at all, then we stand a better chance again. So it's one way is out of sight, out of mind. Out of sight, out of mind. And the second way is the one that I'm going to teach tonight and guide tonight. Now, it's important to note with this practice that it's not dogma. We're not saying that the view that we're going to adopt for this meditation is true and correct. Buddhism is more skillful than that. What it says is adopt views that will help you for a while. Adopt a view, a way of looking at things that will help you for a while. They don't even have to be true. They only have to be beneficial to peace. It's a beautiful thing, that, because it takes away all the arguing with this person and that person about scriptures and about religion and about Buddhism and about even ethics and things. It's what view can I adopt that will be beneficial for peace. It doesn't have to be true. It doesn't have to be true. This is known as skillful means. We take a position on something because it's beneficial to do so, not because it's necessarily true, or even in other situations, it may be the worst thing we could adopt, but we're doing it skillfully for the situation we're trying to manage, both internally and externally. So we can be very light with our practice in meditation with Buddhism. And if we'd have to be Buddhist to practice Buddhism. We'd have to be Buddhist to practice tools and techniques and methods. It just gives us a chance to be really light with things. So what we do is we adopt a view that the human form, or certain human forms, are repulsive. We're opposing a view. We're opposing a view. So rather than getting sexual craving because we've dwelt on somebody's form, a mind, and we've embellished it, and we think it's wonderful, and we never want to be separated from it. Never want to be separated from this person. Then the opposite of that is to find the body repulsive. Can't have both. We can't see a particular individual as both very attractive and very repulsive. Our mind cannot hold both of those at once. We can't think yes and we can't think no in the same moment. And try that afterwards if you like. We can't be angry towards someone and be compassionate towards them at the same time. They're opposite. I want you to be free from suffering. I want you to suffer. They're opposites. The mind can't hold them both at once. So you have a beautiful body, you have a repulsive body. Can't hold them both at the same time. So no one's intrinsically beautiful or intrinsically repulsive. We adopt a view, the purpose of reducing our sexual craving, because there's an advantage to doing that at that time. Things are not beautiful from their own side. They don't radiate beautifulness. Now, it appears that they do. And it appears that things emanate repulsiveness from their own side. We don't say, oh, I can't stand Brussels sprouts, as much as we say Brussels sprouts are horrible. We think the horribleness is coming from the sprout, or licorice, or Marmite, Bovril, Coca-Cola, McDonald's, cabbage, who knows what, you know. They don't intrinsically have qualities in them. We project onto them, but think that we don't recognize we've projected it. We don't recognize we've done that. We do it, don't realize we've done it, and think that the quality is coming from the object directly. This is a delusion. So we see chocolate and we dwell on it, and the more we dwell on it, the more we perceive it as qualities from its own side to give us happiness, and we never want to be separated from that chocolate. We have a bit of chocolate, oh, that was nice. We think there's happiness coming from the chocolate. Or I'll have another piece, and then I'll have another piece, and then I'll have another piece. Now that chocolate then hasn't changed. From the first moment, it's just that chocolate. What's changed is our mind towards it, and yet we think that chocolate should never leave our sight now. We should eat the whole bar. If somebody took it away, we could easily get quite angry with them, or feel very sad. This is the licking honey off a razor blade aspect of craving, of desirous attachment. Same thing with aversion. We dwell on something's faults or somebody's faults, and we want to be separated from them, never see them again. So if you imagine a foodstuff that you've been forced to eat as a child, the classic sort of eat it, clear your plate, or you got drunk on a certain type of alcohol when you were younger, then maybe you never want to smell that Pernod or rum or sake wine, or who knows what it might be. Sake wine wasn't random, by the way, that was mine. But yeah, so we project onto those things and say we never want to be away from them. So we have never want to be away from it, and never want to be away from it. So push and pull. Two people in the same room, Brussels sprout. One person never wants to be away from it, absolutely love it, want more and more and more. Another person of it can't stand it, wants to get away from it. They're both experiencing a different Brussels sprout. Their mind has mixed the Brussels sprout with aversion or craving, and believing the properties are within the Brussels sprout. So this person here and this person here are experiencing a totally different Brussels sprout in their mind. Neither of them exist. The Brussels sprout is a green blob, and yeah, our senses experience it, but it doesn't have the qualities of attractiveness and unattractiveness from its own side. You see a blob of dung. A blob of dung, well, it's not very nice, is it? Dung beetles love them. And push that ball of dung round all day. Treat of the day, push some dung round. That dung is neither intrinsically pleasant or unpleasant. Some people are sadists, masochists. They actually enjoy pain, giving pain, taking pain. So pain, even pain, isn't intrinsically a problem from its own side. It's how we relate to it. We actually can be find attractiveness to that pain, or we can find aversion to that pain. Right, so enough of this. Just giving you a setup as to why what we're doing is very flexible. What we're doing is very flexible. So in relation to the human body, we can say, oh, how do we start to view the human body? How can we possibly view the human body as particular human bodies or human bodies in general? How can we find them repulsive? Now, we're not saying they are intrinsically repulsive or intrinsically beautiful, but we're adopting a view to reduce our sexual craving. Now, let's think about the body. Up here is a blob of mushy brain. There's a couple of eyeballs. There's blood. There's snot. There's bone marrow. There's gristle. There's feces. There's sweat glands. There's flaky skin. There's hair. Which bit of that, when we see somebody's body, which bit of the body do we feel attracted to? So we can actually take people apart, not literally, hopefully, take them apart mentally and put all their parts into buckets, have a row of buckets. So if we have sexual craving towards someone and we're not in a position to have a sexual relationship with them, if this is a problem, then, and we want to reduce that craving, then we can imagine there are buckets and we put different parts of their bodies into different buckets mentally, and we're going to do this in meditation. Maybe we put the the brain and the eyes and the tongue in one. Maybe we sort of imagine the skin in another with some of the gristle, and in another one maybe we have the colon and the feces and the anus, and the urine in another one, in another bucket, and then in another bucket we may have all the nerves and the veins, and in another one we have all of the offal, for want of a better phrase, the organs, the kidneys and the lungs and the heart, pancreas, all the and the bones. Forgot the bones, haven't I? Chuck the bones in there. And we can say to ourselves, which bucket do I find most attractive? Which of those buckets am I sexually aroused by? Now, if you are sexually aroused by one of those buckets, you need to have a different system for you. I don't know what that is. We'll have to think about that, won't we? But yeah, most people wouldn't be find any of those buckets attractive. And then what we do, like we can meditate on the breath. We can meditate on the repulsiveness of these buckets of body parts, because there's nothing extra or taken away in those buckets. It's all there. The person the body we craved is still in those buckets. It hasn't gone. And then we meditate on that, and then the idea is that we allow the aversion to those bucketfuls of bits to arise, and then that's the object of our meditation. Like if we're doing breathing meditation, we come back to the sensation of the breath. In this meditation, we come back to the repulsiveness of what's in the buckets, the aversion, because we can't have aversion and craving in our mind at the same time. What we can do if we are practicing this outside of formal meditation is to remain aware of everyone we look at, if we want to do that, maybe of the same sex or opposite sex or whatever it might be, whatever we want, wherever we want to play with this. And we look at them as we're walking down the street or in the office or at home or in the garden or wherever it might be, and we recognize that they are a bag of bodily fluids, piss, shit, pus, snot, organs, brain squidginess, eyeballs, and we recognize that that's what's walking down the street. That's what's in front of us. And then we do it until our sexual craving ceases. So we don't have to do it all of the time, because this is a tool. But we do it to the degree that we want to get the results. Now, if your mind wanders away, you come back in the meditation, you do the exercise, and you develop the aversion again and stay with it. If you need to go back to the visualization with the bucket and the parts, pulling the person apart and putting them in, if you go back to that, that's fine. If you find that your aversion has completely gone, we can recreate the feeling by going through the contemplative bit, the visualization bit, and do it again. I've done this committedly for a period of time as an experiment, and I was shocked how well it worked. In fact, it worked so well, I lost all sexual craving completely, and I started to panic and had to go and ask around how I can get out of this, because I didn't want it to be permanent. And I was playing around with it and trying it, and I was reminded by a monk that nothing is intrinsically unpleasant any more than it is intrinsically pleasant. So I then was able to allow myself to adopt a different view, if I wanted, that some people are beautiful and attractive, and allow that sexual feeling to arise, and with other people not. If you'd like to get yourself into a comfortable meditation posture, I'll guide you through this meditation. Become aware of the room that you're sat in. And become aware of your own body in your chair. Now, bodies are not intrinsically attractive or repulsive. They just, like say, neither is the chocolate or the Brussels sprout or whatever it might be. So when we come to our own body, we can treat it lightly. We don't have to use the tool with ourselves. Now bring your awareness to your thoughts, let your thoughts come and go. Just for a few moments, watch your thoughts. Relax your face muscles, relax your jaw muscles. Okay, so we're going to go straight into it. Please be light-hearted with this. Please be playful. Don't treat it too heavily. It's just a tool. It's a technique and a method. Please be curious and give it a go. See how it goes. So I'd like you to imagine somebody in front of you who you want to practice this method with. So it may be maybe very clear who this needs to be, or you want it to be. If not, just give yourself a moment to think of someone. Right, now I'd like you to visualize a row of buckets in front of them, between them and you. Just visualize some buckets. It doesn't have to be precise visualization, but and become aware that this person is a bag of skin with blood and marrow bone and feces and urine and lungs and kidneys and pancreas and eyeballs and brain, spinal cord, bones, sweat glands. Notice how maybe in the past you haven't recognized that this person, this body is this. We idealize a body, a person, and we feel attracted to an image of them. Almost like rock, like rock is rock all the way through. We sort of make a beautiful blob out of people, a beautiful package out of people.
Oh, what is this, huh?
Okay, now start putting those parts into those buckets. This is somebody who you found attractive, sexually attractive. We're going to have a go at removing that part of that aspect from our mind. Start putting their body parts into these buckets. Imagine yourself looking into the buckets, each bucket, seeing the pus and the goo and the feces and the blood and the heart and the lungs and the eyeballs, the veins, the tendons, the ligaments, the toenails, the hair, the teeth. And ask yourself which bucket do you find most attractive? The contents of which bucket do you find the most attractive? We're playing around now in meditation to generate the feeling of revulsion, of aversion. So which of these buckets do you feel the contents of these buckets do you feel most sexually attracted to? Same person, we haven't added anything in or taken anything away. Which bucket of bits do we feel the most sexual attraction to? We can ask ourselves, do I feel sexual craving, sexual energy towards any of these buckets and their contents? You can imagine putting your hands in the buckets and feeling around inside them. And then when the feeling of aversion arises, take this feeling as the object of meditation. When your mind wanders away, come back to this feeling. If it fades, recall it. If you can't recall it, do the visualization again with the buckets to create the aversion once more. We are aversion creating and dwelling on it. I'll leave you for a couple of minutes to do this. Don't be afraid to allow this aversion to arise, this revulsion to arise. It's going to help. It's going to bring peace. There may be resistance because we've had craving, but just know that and do the exercise anyway. The resistance will gradually go. Each time the mind wanders away, bring it back. Come back to the feeling of revulsion, of aversion. If it's not there, see if you can recall it. Sometimes it just regenerates. If not, contemplate the buckets, touching them, which you're sexually attracted to. Look inside at the part. Develop the aversion again and single-pointedly focus on it. Allow it to be here. Bring your mind back to the feeling of aversion. Rest in it. Accept it. Let it be here. Use it for peace. And now I'd like you to imagine this person, seeing them in your home or at work or in the streets or at the gym, wherever they are, and holding this view of them as body parts and pus and snot and poo and wee and all these things wrapped in a fabric of skin that has sweat glands in it. Imagine meeting them and recalling these parts so that we don't get a generic image of the body. We actually recognize what's there. So I'll leave you for a few moments to imagine doing this. Imagine meeting them in a place and recalling this aspect to generate the aversion. And finally, we can recall, obviously if we're doing this with the need, I'm teaching it now and we're practicing it now, but you know, if there's a specific need in the future, in the current moments for this, we can recall the burden of sexual energy that is not wanted but is powerful here. It can be very frustrating, energy zapping. It can destroy our meditative concentration. It can distract us from other things. It can tempt us. So there's great benefit sometimes in having all of that gone, just having a peaceful mind, an uncraving mind towards these people or this person. We can recall that this is why we're doing it. And we can enjoy other things in our mind, caring about others, having fun, listening. Okay, before we come out of meditation, we can dedicate the skillful means practice we've done today to our own peace and to the peace of all living beings. May everyone find contentment. May everyone find respite from their disturbed states of minds. And then when it feels comfortable, just gently allow your eyes to open. Thank you. Hope you've enjoyed this class, found it interesting. If you'd like to practice more meditation using my meditation recordings, then please feel free to visit on YouTube, Paul Follows Meditations. And also I've got a website. You can sign up to receive reminders for these classes, to be on the reminder list on the front page of paulfollows.com. Okay, thank you for joining in.